Hey, welcome back to my channel. My name's Karina, living Lean Six Sigma, and I wanted to finish off the last two videos for Airframe. This is part 16. Let's jump into it. Our next section is aircraft fuel systems. Question: fuel jettisoning is usually accomplished. Answer: through a common manifold and outlet in each wing. Note: this is usually accomplished by fuel dumping manifold, which connects the dumpable fuel tanks to the dump valve and to a fixed or extendable dump chute in each wing. Question: the primary purpose of an aircraft's fuel jettison system is to quickly achieve a... Answer: lower landing weight. Question: true or false? Number 1, the fuel jettison valve must be designed to allow flight personnel to close the valve during any part of the jettisoning operation. Number 2, during the fuel jettisoning operation, the fuel must discharge clear of any part of the airplane. Answer: both are true. Question: which of the following is employed to maintain lateral stability while jettisoning fuel? Answer: two separate independent systems. This one's going to be a trick question. So two separate independent systems. Question: a fuel jettison system is required under certain conditions if the maximum takeoff weight exceeds the maximum landing weight. What regulation covers this requirement of fuel jettisoning? Answer: FAR Part 23, 25, and CAM 4B. Question: fuel is moved overboard in most fuel jettison systems by... Answer: boost pumps. Question: fuel jettisoning past the limits prescribed by federal aviation regulations is usually prevented by... Answer: dump limit valves or a low-level circuit. Note, essentially there's a preset dump shutoff valve that will make sure you don't dump too much fuel. Question: which procedure must be followed when defueling aircraft with swept back wings? Answer: defuel the outboard wing tanks first. Note: this procedure minimizes the twisting effect on the wing caused by fuel being located behind the wing attachment points on the fuselage. Ooh, we got an image. Okay. Refer to the figure. What is the purpose of the pump cross feed valve? Just from logic, you could probably guess that one. Answer: allow operation of engines from one tank. Take a look. Question: normal fuel cross-feed systems operate in multi-engine aircraft. Answer: provides a means to maintain a balanced fuel load condition. Question: how many vents arranged so that they are not likely to become plugged at the same time must be used in multi-engine fuel systems? Answer: 2. Question: what is the primary purpose of the cross-feed system? Answer: it allows any tank to supply fuel to any engine. Question: fuel system components must be bonded and grounded in order to... Answer: drain off static charges. Question: how many engine-driven fuel pumps per engine are required for engines requiring fuel pumps? How much would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? Answer, 1 fuel pump for each engine. Note, this is met by the 14 CFR Part 23. Question. A typical large transport aircraft fuel manifold system allows how many of the following? 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we're going to see which one does this apply to. Number 1, all tanks can be serviced through a single connection. Any engine can be fed from any tank. All engines can be fed from all tanks simultaneously. Or a damaged tank can be isolated from the rest of the fuel system. Answer, all 4 are correct. Question. A fuel system must be designed to prevent fuel vapor ignition caused by. Answer, lightning. What is the minimum distance allowed between a fuel tank and the firewall separating the engine? Answer, 1/2 inch. Question. Fuel baffles are installed in tanks to prevent blank caused by changes in the altitude of the aircraft. Answer, surging. Fuel baffles are installed in tanks to prevent surging. Question. Many fuel tanks incorporate blank valves to prevent fuel from flowing away from the boost pump or tank outlet when the aircraft is in high G maneuvers. Answer, flapper. Many fuel tanks incorporate flapper valves to prevent fuel from flowing away. Question. Fuel heaters are used with fuel systems for turbine engines to prevent blank in the fuel from clogging system filters. Answer, ice crystals. This one's a trick question. Fuel heaters are used with fuel systems for turbine engines to prevent ice crystals from clogging the fuel system. Question. A transducer in a fuel pressure system serves what function? Answer, converts fluid pressure directly through a transmitter to the indicator. Question. The use of turbine fuels in aircraft has resulted in some problems not normally associated with aviation gasoline. One of these problems is, answer, microbial contaminants. Microbial contaminants. Question. What is used to maintain aircraft to prevent bubbles in the fuel after it leaves the tank when atmospheric pressure is lower than fuel vapor pressure? Answer, boost pumps. Note, boost pumps hold a pressure on the fuel in the lines to prevent additional vapors from forming. Question. Which of the following precautions is most important during refueling operations? Answer, fuel to be used must be appropriately identified. Fuel that's going to be used must be appropriately identified. Note, a number of airplanes have been destroyed by mistakenly refueling of the reciprocating engine aircraft with turbine engine fuel, and vice versa. Turbine engine fuel will cause severe detonation when a reciprocating engine is operated at takeoff power. Question. Before fueling an aircraft by using the pressure fueling method, what important precaution should be observed? Answer, the truck pump pressure must be correct for that refueling system. Question. What flight safety related advantages does a pressure fueling system provide? Answer, reduces the chances for fuel contamination. Question. Aircraft pressure fueling systems instructional procedures are normally placarded on the answer, fuel control panel, access door. Question. Pressure fueling of aircraft is usually accomplished through answer, at least one single point connection. Question. Which of the following may be used for the repair of fuel leaks on most integral fuel tanks? Answer. Riveting and resealing. Question. How is the outlet fuel pressure regulated on the submerged single-speed centrifugal type fuel pump? Answer. By the pump's design and internal clearances. By the pump's design and internal clearances. Question. What is one purpose of a fuel tank vent? Answer. To maintain atmospheric pressure. Question. When inspecting a removable rigid fuel tank for leaks, what procedure should be followed? Answer. Pressurize the tank with air and brush with soapy water. Question. If it is necessary to enter an aircraft's fuel tank, which procedure should be avoided? Answer. Conduct the defueling and tank purging operation in an air-conditioned building. This is what you want to avoid. Note, all defueling and purging must be done outside, not in any building, air-conditioned or otherwise. Question. What is the recommended practice for cleaning a fuel tank before welding? Answer. Steam clean the tank interior. Note, it should be washed out with hot water and detergent, then live steam should be passed through the tank for about a half hour. This treatment vaporizes and removes any residual fuel that may be left in the tank. Yeah, because otherwise you might go kablooey and that's not a good look. Question. An aircraft's integral fuel tank is, answer, a part of the aircraft structure. A part of the aircraft's structure. Question. Which gas is used for purging an aircraft fuel tank? Answer. Carbon dioxide. Question. What is the main fuel strainer located at the lowest point in the fuel system? Answer. It traps any small amount of water that may be present in the fuel system. Question. The purpose of a diaphragm in a vane type fuel pump is to, answer, compensate fuel pressures to altitude changes. Question. When moving the mixture control on a normally operating engine into the idle cutoff position, engine RPM should, answer, slightly increase before the engine starts to die off. Note, when the mixture control is moved into the idle cutoff position, that's when the mixture passes through the ratio that produces the best burning. The RPM picks up a few RPMs before it drops off completely. Question. Entrained water in aviation turbine fuel is a hazard because of its susceptibility to freeze as it passes through the filters. What are common methods to prevent this hazard? Answer. Anti-icing fuel additives and fuel heaters. Question. As a general rule, which statement is true regarding fuel leaks? Answer. Strains, seeps, and heavy seeps, in addition to running leaks, are considered flight hazards when located in unvented areas of the aircraft. Question. The presence of fuel stains around a fuel nozzle would indicate, answer, clogged fuel nozzle. Question: what should be used to inert an integral fuel tank before attempting repairs? Answer: CO2, carbon dioxide. It's an inert gas. Question: what should be used to remove flux from an aluminum tank after welding repairs? Answer: 5% solution of nitric or sulfuric acid. Question: what method would be used to check for internal leakage of a fuel valve without removing the valve from the aircraft? Answer: place the valve in the off position, drain the strainer bowl, and with boost pumps on, watch to see if the fuel flows to the strainer bowl. Question: why are jet fuels more susceptible to water contamination than aviation gasoline? Answer: jet fuel has a higher viscosity than gasoline. Question: when installing a rigid fuel line, 1/2 inch in diameter, in what intervals should the line be supported? Answer: God, this is so specific. 16 inches. This is specified in ADC 43.13-1B as in Bravo, and that's where it tells you for every 1/2 inch line, every 16 inches, you got to support it. Question: the probe of a capacitance type fuel level gauge is essentially a... Answer: capacitor with fuel and air acting as a dielectric. Question: which statement concerning an electronic capacitance type fuel quantity indicating system is true? Answer: it has no moving parts in the tank. Note, remember, the fuel and the air act as a dielectric. Question: what type of remote reading fuel quantity indicating system has several probes installed in each fuel tank? Answer: electronic. Question: which aircraft fuel quantity indicating system incorporates a signal amplifier? Answer: electronic. This one's a trick question. It's an electronic, not electrical, electronic. Question: a drip gauge may be used to measure. Answer: the amount of fuel in the tank. Note, the drip gauge is pulled down from the bottom of the tank until fuel begins to drip from its end. The quantity of the fuel in the tank is indicated on the gauge by the amount the gauge is pulled from the tank before it begins to drip. Question: the electronic type fuel quantity indicating system consists of a bridge circuit. Answer: a tank, an amplifier, and an indicator. I guess it's trying to ask in a weird way, what are the components of this electronic type fuel indicating system? And you would need the tank, an amplifier, and the indicator. Note, the capacitor probe is mounted to the tank. A bridge circuit measures the capacity of the probes. The amplifier is used to increase the amplitude of the signal or the signal strength from the bridge circuit to a valve high enough to drive the indicator. And then the indicator mounted in the instrument panel will show the amount of fuel in the tank. That's the path of travel. Question: A probe or a series of probes is used in what kind of fuel quantity indicating system? Answer, capacitor. Question, why is the capacitance fuel quantity indicating system more accurate in measuring fuel level than a mechanical type? Answer, it measures by weight instead of volume. Note, the total capacitance of all probes remains constant as the aircraft altitude change. This cause of fuel level indication to remain constant as attitude changes is important. Because sometimes when the attitude of an aircraft changes, fuel rises in some probes and lowers in others. Question, one advantage of electrical and electronic fuel quantity indicating systems is that, answer, several fuel tank levels can be read on one indicator. Question, a fuel totalizer is a component which indicates the, answer, amount of fuel in all the tanks. Question, a digital fuel totalizer automatically indicates the amount of fuel used, fuel remaining, current rate of consumption, and fuel weight aboard at takeoff. Question, what is the dielectric, non-conducting material in a capacitance type fuel quantity indicating system? Answer, fuel and air in the tank. Question, a capacitance type fuel quantity indicating system measures fuel in, answer, pounds. It's measured in pounds. Question, what are the four general types of fuel quantity gauges? Answer, sight glass, mechanical, electrical, and electronic. Repeat, sight glass, mechanical, electrical, and electronic. Question, how does temperature affect fuel weight? Answer, cold fuel is heavier per gallon. Question, one advantage of electrical and electronic fuel quantity indicating systems is that the indicator, answer, can be located any distance from the tank or tanks. Question, when fuel quantity is measured in pounds instead of gallons, the measurement will be more accurate because fuel volume, answer, varies with temperature change. Question, an electrical type fuel quantity indicating system consists of an indicator in the cockpit and a float, answer, in the tank that moves a connecting arm to the wiper on a variable resistor in the tank. This is an electrical type fuel quantity indicating system. Note, electric fuel quantity indicating operates with DC, direct current, and use variable resistance in a circuit to drive a ratiometer type indicator. The movement of a float in a tank moves a connecting arm to the wiper on a variable resistor in the tank unit. This resistor is wired in a series. This resistor is wired in a series with one of the coils of the ratiometer type fuel gauge in the instrument panel. Changes to the current flowing through the tank unit resistor change the current flow through one of the coils in the indicator. This alters the magnetic field in which the indicating pointer pivots. The calibrated dial indicates the corresponding fuel quantity. It's induction. It's almost like induction. Okay. Question. What is the purpose of a flow-operated transmitter installed in a fuel tank? Answer. It sends an electric signal to the fuel quantity indicator. Question. In an electronic type fuel quantity indicating system, the tank sensing unit is an answer, capacitor. It is a capacitor. Question. What must each fuel quantity indicator be calibrated to read during level flight when the quantity of fuel remaining is equal to the unusable fuel supply? Answer, 0. Question. What unit would be adjusted to change the fuel pressure warning limits? Answer, pressure sensitive mechanism. Question. Select one means of controlling the fuel temperature on turbine-powered aircraft. Answer, engine bleed air to a heat exchanger. Note, ice is prevented from clogging the filter of the turbine-powered aircraft fuel system by routing warm compressor bleed air through an air-to-fuel heat exchanger. All of the fuel that flows to the engine must pass through this heat exchanger. Question. What is the purpose of a flapper type check valve in integral fuel tanks? Answer, to prevent fuel from flowing away from the boost pumps. This is similar to that G's questions. If when you're pulling G's, the fuel moves away from, or the centrifugal force, it moves everything to the farthest point. Question. What unit is generally used to actuate the fuel pressure warning system? Answer, pressure sensitive mechanism. Note, it's usually bellows. Question. What method is used on turbine-powered aircraft to determine when the condition of the fuel is approaching the danger of forming ice crystals? Answer, fuel temperature indicator. Question. Which of the following would give the first positive indication that a changeover from one fuel tank to another is needed? Answer, fuel pressure warning. Question. A fuel pressure warning switch contacts close and a warning light is turned on when? Answer, the fuel pressure drops below specified limits. Question. A transmitter in a fuel pressure warning system serves what function? Answer, converts fluid pressure to an electrical signal. Question. Where is fuel pressure taken for the pressure warning signal on most aircraft engines? I think it's asking where is it taken from, like where are you getting your pulse from, the neck, your wrist? Answer, the fuel pressure line out of the carburetor. Question. Which of the following is necessary to effectively troubleshoot a fuel pressure warning system? Answer, the manufacturer's maintenance manual. This is a trick question. The troubleshooting, you use the manufacturer's maintenance manual for the fuel pressure warning system. Question. Which of the following would be most useful to locate and troubleshoot an internal fuel leak in an aircraft fuel system? Answer, maintenance manual diagrams and descriptions. Most useful for troubleshooting will be maintenance manual diagrams and descriptions. This is a trick question. Question. In some aircraft with several fuel tanks, the possible danger of allowing the fuel supply in one tank to become exhausted before the selector valve is switched to another tank is prevented by the installation of, answer, a fuel pressure warning signal system. Question. 2 statements, true or false. Statement number 1, the function of a fuel heater is to protect the engine fuel system from ice formation. Number 2, an aircraft fuel heater cannot be used to thaw ice in the fuel screen. Answer, statement 1 is true, statement 2 is false. Statement 2 should say, a fuel heater can be used to thaw ice that has formed in one of the formed on the fuel screen. I'm sorry. Question. Statement 1 and 2, true and false. Number 1, gas turbine engine fuel systems are very susceptible to the formation of ice in the fuel filters. Number 2, a fuel heater operates as a heat exchanger to warm the fuel. Answer, both statements are true. Next question, 2 statements, true or false. Statement number 1, a fuel heater can use engine bleed air as a source of heat. Statement number 2, a fuel heater can use engine lubricating oil as a source of heat. Answer, both statements are true. Next question, true and false. Statement number 1, a fuel pressure gauge is a differential pressure indicator. Statement number 2, a fuel pressure gauge indicates the pressure of the fuel entering the carburetor. Answer, both statements are true. Note, for statement number 1, most fuel pressure gauges are differential pressure gauges. They measure the difference in the pressure of the fuel and the pressure of some reference air. When a pressure carburetor is used, this reference air pressure is the carburetor upper deck air pressure. Question. True and false. Statement number 1, a fuel pressure relief valve is required on an aircraft positive displacement fuel pump. Statement number 2, a fuel pressure relief valve is required on an aircraft centrifugal fuel boost pump. Answer, number 1 is true, statement number 2 is false. This is what it should say. A pressure relief valve is not needed with a centrifugal fuel boost pump. Question. The primary purpose of a fuel tank sump is to provide a, answer, place for contaminants and water to settle with a drain valve to remove the impurities. Question. Why are integral fuel tanks used in many large aircraft? Answer, to reduce weight. Question. When an aircraft is fueled from a truck or fuel farm that has not been contaminated, daily draining, answer, of strainers and sump is combined with periodic filter changes and inspections to ensure fuel is contaminant free. Question. When defueling an aircraft, which of the following must be accomplished? Answer, always defuel outside the hangar. Question. Integral fuel tanks on transport aircraft are, answer, supported by the aircraft structure. Question. What precautions must be observed if a gravity-fed fuel system is permitted to supply fuel to an engine from more than one tank at a time? Answer, the tank air spaces must be interconnected. Question. The purpose of the baffle plate in a fuel tank is to answer, resist fuel surging within the fuel tank. Question: what markings must be placed on or near each appropriate fuel filler cover on standard category aircraft? Answer: the word avgas, AVGAS, and the minimum fuel grade. Question: what is one disadvantage of using aromatic aviation fuels? Answer: deteriorates rubber parts. Aromatic additives deteriorate rubber parts. Question: fuel boost pumps are operated. Answer: to provide a positive flow of fuel to the engine. Question: flapper valves are used in fuel tanks to. Answer: act as a check valve. Question: why are centrifugal type boost pumps used in fuel systems of aircraft operating at high altitude? Answer: to supply fuel under pressure to engine-driven pumps. Question: why is it necessary to vent all aircraft fuel tanks? Answer: to limit pressure differential between tank and atmosphere. Gotta let it breathe. Question: according to part 23, what minimum required markings must be placed at or near each appropriate fuel filler cover for reciprocating engine-powered airplanes? Answer: the word avgas and the minimum fuel grade. This one's a trick question. They tried to make the question sound different, but the answer is the same. Question: the location of leaks and defects within the internal portions of the fuel system can usually be determined by. Answer: observing the pressure gauge and operating the selector valves. Question: what type of fuel booster pump requires a pressure relief valve? Answer: a sliding vane. Note, you will need this because it is a constant displacement pump. Okay. Question: to prevent vapor lock in fuel lines at high altitude, some aircraft are equipped with. Answer: booster pumps. Question: some turbine-powered aircraft have a fuel temperature indicator located in the flight deck to. Answer: monitor the fuel temperature during high altitude flight. Note, it's pretty cold up there, so high altitude flights are in extremely frigid conditions. Question: when inspecting a fuel system, you should check all valves located downstream of the boost pumps with the pumps at. Answer: while they are operating. This one's a trick question. You want to inspect the fuel system when the boost pumps are operating. Question: the type of fuel boost pump that separates air and vapor from the fuel before it enters the line to the carburetor is the. Answer: centrifugal type pump. Question: true or false? Statement number 1. On a large aircraft pressure refueling system, a pressure refueling receptacle and control panel will permit one person to fuel or defuel any or all fuel tanks of an aircraft. Statement number 2. Because of the fuel tank area, there are more advantages to a pressure fueling system in light aircraft. Answer: statement number 1 is true, but statement number 2 is false. This is what it should say. Because of the limited fuel tank area, there are fewer advantages of a pressure fueling system in light aircraft. Question: when routing a fuel line between two rigidly mounted fittings, the line should, answer, have at least one bend between such fittings. Note: you always want to incorporate at least one bend between such fittings to absorb strain caused by vibration and temperature changes. Question: true or false? Statement number 1. If aviation gasoline vaporizes too readily, fuel lines may become filled with vapor and cause increased fuel flow. Number 2. A measure of a gasoline's tendency to vapor lock is obtained from the Reid vapor pressure test. Answer: statement number 1 is false. Statement number 2 is true. Statement number 1 should say, if the gasoline vaporizes too readily, fuel lines may become filled with vapor and cause decreased, not increased, fuel flow. Question: microbial growth is produced by various forms of microorganisms that live and multiply in the water interface of jet fuels. Which of the following could result if microbial growth exists in a jet fuel tank and is not corrected? Answer: interference with fuel flow, interference with fuel quantity indicators, and electrolytic corrosive action in a metal tank. Question: the vapor pressure of aviation gasoline is, answer, lower than the vapor pressure of automotive gasoline. Note: aviation gas or avgas is limited to a max of 7 psi, which is lower than the vapor pressure of many grades of auto gas. Question: what can be done to eliminate or minimize the microbial growth problem in an aircraft jet fuel tank? Answer: use anti-ice and antibacterial additives. Question: what is the maximum vapor pressure allowable for an aircraft fuel? Answer: a Reid vapor pressure is at 7 psi, and that's at 100 degrees Fahrenheit. That is the maximum allowed. Question: if a bladder type fuel tank is to be left empty for an extended period of time, the inside of the tank should be coated with a film of, answer, engine oil. This is a rubberized fabric bladder. It's gonna be exposed to air, and so it needs to be covered with a film of clean engine oil. Don't use the used engine oil, okay? Question: how many of the anti-knock, depending on how you say it, how may the anti-knock characteristics of a fuel be improved? Answer: by adding a knock inhibitor. Thanks. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.